5 different dreams in a day every night, right? And we sleep so many years of our lives. Is it just nonsense? Like, how we just doing nothing? Like, some people actually believe that we are not doing nothing. Like, why would I even go to the dreams? Some people think that actually when we go to the dreams, we are being programmed to stay in the matrix, so that it can be a challenge for us to get out of the matrix. So how the dreams give us the chichi about what needs to be worked through, what is just some residue that maybe doesn't have a lot of meaning now, but when you start paying attention, there are some things in it, even when it's just a symbol, that has so much meaning and potential for you. So we're going to take some of those things today and work through some of them. So we have the conscious voice that can talk to us. We can have our spirit team talk to us. We can have ancestors talk to us in the dreams. And we also have the different parts of us that can talk to us. And what this looks like is, well, we have the ego, we have the shadow, we have the animus, the animal, right? We have the persona, and we have the self. And our spirit team, right? Ancestors and star family. So that's a lot of people that can be communicating with us. And one of the things that you might want to be very conscious of is that our body can talk to us in our dream. It can make sound, right? It can give messages. And how does it do that? It gives it to us through the pain that we experience, right? Hi, Tiffany. How are you?
I'm okay.
Say hi to the others.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hey. Natalie.
Hurry up, Natalie. Run.
Okay. So I'm going to share the screen so that this is going to help me keep track of the most important things that I want to cover today. We have 2 hours and we're going to record it. If you don't want your full name, you can edit your profile with a nickname that you know, if it's a problem, it will be shared online. Some people already asked me, the ones that are not going to be able to come tonight, so they know that they're going to get a copy. Wasn't that Denise that came in? Hi. It's good to see you. Oh my goodness. We don't hear you. You're back home, right?
Yeah, now you hear me?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm back home. I'm in Uruguay now.
She's home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes.
Oh, no. Okay. Thank you. So what we're going to focus on is going to be all about dreams today. And I'm going to introduce a couple of concepts. Some of you probably have heard some of these concepts. Some of you probably are like, what is she talking about? And that is okay. So we're going to break it down the most basic way that we can, so that we can really start paying attention to our dreams. And I've been working in the dream realm for many years, and I continue to be fascinated by it. So I really love working in the dream realm. In 21 divisions, which is one of the ancestral spiritual practices that I practice, that I belong to, the dream realm is where we go to do a lot of the learnings that our human godparents, spiritual grandparents cannot give us. So it is in the dream realm that we really develop certain abilities to be able to then bring it to the different mental, emotional, energetic, and then physical body. So when we start working with the dreams, we have to understand some really big concepts. Some of those concepts were introduced to psychology 150 years ago. So we're going to use a combination of the shamanic, the psycho concepts, and combine them so that we can pay attention to how we can work with our dreams. Before we even do anything else, let me just check in with you. Like, for you, what is dreaming all about? If you can just raise your hand, there is a little hand at the bottom, so that way we don't interrupt each other. Anybody wants to share what are dreams for you? 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be a 3-minute speech.
I don't see a hand, Vicky, but for me, I still don't see the hand. Okay, for me, it's I feel like I connect with my higher self in my dreams. Like I'm either she's seeing what I'm in this reality or what she is in that reality, in that other aspect of myself.
Beautiful.
I feel like for me, my higher self.
Yeah. Denise, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I think it's like our subconscious that keep working while sleeping. Sometimes we bring problems and situations that we had during the day, and we try to to find a solution, or we keep thinking and we keep solving problems, and we keep connecting with other stuff that we have in a part of our mind that we cannot have quick access while conscious.
That's beautiful. Yvette, was that Yvette?
Yep, I'm here. I feel I think it's both what Denise and Raquel said, but then I also feel like I get visited or I tap into other worlds. Like I've stepped through different portals and I've been in different worlds, and I know like spirits, or like I've seen people passing over in dreams. So I definitely agree with what you're saying. It's like just a whole nother world. And sometimes it's just like my subconscious is working through something, but then other times it's like I'm going somewhere else. I'm traveling.
Yeah. So you are able to connect with, okay, now I'm going, or something is changing, or you feel like you're more lucid in the dream. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sometimes I definitely wake up in my dreams and I'm interacting with them. Other times the dreams, I feel like I have no control over them, and it's like they're just showing me something and I'm supposed to understand it, but I have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that sounds, I think at the beginning, especially, right? Like when we start getting really serious about the dreams, and we start putting two and two together. If you take notes and then you go back, you're like, wow, all the clues were here. I just didn't pick it up on time, or I didn't have the concepts and the wisdom, the knowledge that I have now to put all of that together. But now I can write a whole movie, right? With some of the cheat sheets that I got throughout different dreams and even nightmares. So imagine that we have the conscious ego, who we think we are. And we think we are just that. But then when we start going through spiritual awakening, we realize, oh my God, wait, I think I am more than just this person here, right? Like when you go through that first layer of awakening and you're like, oh, so I am not just Victoria. I am multiple different people, the different soul experiences that my soul had throughout many lifetimes. And some of those experiences they're not complete. They're not fully integrated. So they stay in the unconscious. So according to psychology, 10%, maybe 5 to 10% at the most is what is conscious, which is our ego. So our ego thinks we are 100% of who we are, but we're not. Like most of who we are, 90%, the gray matter between the different brain regions, that's 90% subconscious and unconscious material. So we have the capacity to, in our dreams, experience the connection to that aspect of the unconscious that is trying to bring balance back to what is happening with us throughout many different lifetimes that are pending, that are part of your karmic balance account, right? So we have this little karma account, and in that account, it's going to be different information that says, this is what we need to balance. Perhaps I had too much power in this life, so now I'm going to have to come in and be more about humanitarian services, or taking care of the trees, or taking care of the dogs, because I need to balance the power over other people with something that gives back to society. Or I was very poor and I experienced tremendous amount of, I don't know, homeless, losing my child. And now I have a more easier life because I need to balance that suffering. There are different perspectives on this, and I don't want to get too much into all the different philosophies because we can get really lost in, especially a lot of the things that are not so friendly, like, oh, we are here because we are trapped, right? So I don't want to get into that because if we look at it like that, we're going to lose a huge chunk of opportunity to do a lot of deep healing work. So for the sake of that, I want to stay away from it. Now, what happens when we go to sleep, and there is a really good book. It's a neuroscientist, I forget, Jay something. Oh my God, I'm going to have to look that up. He wrote a book about dreams. And what they found out is that while we're dreaming, the brain is very active. It doesn't go to sleep. And because it's so active, but the thing is that the one thing that is not active is the one that says that cannot be true. The part of our brain that has some logic, right, is not able to enforce some of its quality while it's dreaming. It has to stay seduced. So the other parts, the visual cortex, even that's why sometimes we hear sounds and music when we're sleeping, because we are able to connect with those parts of our brain, right? So we have all of this information coming at us really, really fast. And we want to be aware. At the beginning of the dreams, the first few dreams, we're mostly going through experiences that are day to day. Then when we go into the different, we go through the different REM cycles, and we have those experiences that are mind-blowing, where we remember a lot of maybe even visual details that we couldn't, and you could have those mystical experiences that a lot of us love, right? 5 different dreams in a day, every night, right? And we sleep so many years of our lives. Is it just nonsense? Like, how we just doing nothing? Like, some people actually believe that we are not doing nothing. Like, why would I even go to the dreams? Some people think that actually when we go to the dreams, we are being programmed to stay in the matrix, so that it can be a challenge for us to get out of the matrix. So how the dreams give us the chi about what needs to be worked through, what is just some residue that maybe doesn't have a lot of meaning now, but when you start paying attention, there are some things in it, even when it's just a symbol, that has so much meaning and potential for you. So we're going to take some of those things today and work through some of them. So we have the conscious voice that can talk to us. We can have our spirit team talk to us. We can have ancestors talk to us in the dreams. And we also have the different parts of us that can talk to us. And what this looks like is, well, we have the ego, we have the shadow, we have the animus, the animal, right? We have the persona, and we have the self. And our spirit team, right? Ancestors and star family. So that's a lot of people that can be communicating with us. And one of the things that you might want to be very conscious of is that our body can talk to us in our dream. It can make sound, right? It can give messages. And how does it do that? It gives it to us through the pain that we experience, right? So when we are sleeping, the whole body is completely disconnected, except for the brain that is very active. But when you are in another dimension and you're experiencing something that is very, like, it's just making you really scared, there are messages sent because you are connected to the body through the core. Those messages from that experience in that other dimension is being shared, like if you are there, so that you receive all of those messages. That information makes it to the brain and says, alert, we have a problem. That's why we go into paralysis a lot of the time, because we know we are fighting something for this body. We don't know what the heck it is. We could be running down the street, and because it's dark and now I'm like, oh my God, maybe somebody's behind me, and I start panicking. Now I send information to my body that says, alert, there is something bad is going to happen here. And my body goes into paralysis, and I start thinking, oh my God, maybe a demon is getting me in, which is true. It could be. But a lot of the time, it's just the body saying like something bad is going to happen, and you're not paying attention, and you're sending me all of this information, and now I'm stuck with all of this information, and I don't know what to do with it. So I go into fear, because that is the oldest brain that we have, right? Like millions of years ago. So the unconscious voice is going to sound like an opponent a lot of the time. So when we start working with some of these voices, whether they come from in, out, farther, more stern, sometimes the messages can be completely serious, even though they might be coming from ancestors or spirit guides, because maybe you neglected something for so long that they have to impose a little bit more energy in order for you to pay attention. So it doesn't mean that it's always going to be like, oh, you're doing so amazing and you are, just keep going. Sometimes the biggest messages that they can give you is to be very upfront with you and say like, you are messing up and you need to get it together. So don't think that because it's a not too friendly, that is not a spirit guide. This is what I'm trying to say. And I want to just briefly mention this and make a stop here. The experience through mythology to tell us dreams have messages from the gods. If you follow a little bit of Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud and all of those people that basically that wrote the psychology handbook, even up to today, right? Because a lot of those information is the same that they provided back then. They also believe in the archetypes. And the archetypes is something that if you have been doing ceremonies, or we're not going to get into ceremonies, but I'm saying if you have been doing ceremonies, you know the archetypes show up in almost every single session, multiple times. The animal kingdom, the minerals, the plants, the trees, right? All of them show up for different reasons, for healing, messages, and so on. Dave?
Oh, all I was going to say was that Australia believes in the same thing. The dream time was very, very important. It was more real than the waking time.
Yeah.
And Asclepius would come to you. The Greeks believed if you slept in his temple, he would tell you how to fix yourself. He'd come and he'd wake you up and he'd say, you need to eat some basil leaves, and that's how you were healed. So just thought I'd been in there.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And if you have anything like that you want to share with the group, please do so, because we want to learn from each other. Okay. So before we go into the exercise, I want to make a quick comment here. So we talked about the fact that the ego is about 10% of who we are, right? So all the things that are in this ocean of our psyche, our gifts, the fears, the traumas that we don't even know we have, because like, come on, who can come up with this? Like, this is insane, the amount of stuff that is there, right? Like, it's a whole ocean of nothingness. And when we go there, especially with psychedelics, right, we're like, holy cow, how do I make it out? Because this is completely overwhelming, right? But it's so fascinating, the things that we find there, that really blows my mind sometimes. Because when we see the dreams and how similar they are to psychedelics, you're like, I couldn't make this up even if I go and see 5 movies a day. Like the stuff that happens in the dream, even when it's something very logical and rational, because you're still unpacking what happened in the day to make it to depart from this round. so that then you go to the next round and you enter another experience that is pending, that has teachings, that have answers, that have integration opportunity for you, right? So it really is beautiful. So what we're going to do now, I wanted you to get some paper and pen, but if you don't have that, you can use your phone. I'm going to ask you some questions, and you're just going to go into a soft meditative stage, just grounding yourself in your body. And while I ask the question, all you have to do is to experience what happens within you. Any symbols in your dreams, or perhaps a body part. This is something that happens often, right? Where people are going through spiritual awakening and they start seeing body parts of the opposite sex, or they start experiencing an archetype coming into their dreams to let them know this is starting to ramp up, right? So the archetype of, it could be the divine twins. And the divine twins is not the twin flame, the soulmate type of thing. It's more than that. It's the divine twin is my other half. So when we start seeing children's or the energies of the different ancestral practices that represent the different divine twins, we know that we have a major integration coming for us of the feminine and the masculine, right? So I cannot go too much on that, because otherwise we're gonna lose too much time. So if you're gonna, let's say you're gonna do a body part or symbol, maybe we can just focus on one thing. Is everybody okay to do the body part? A body part that came out, okay. So start, just lay your eyes closed down, and you can open your eyes when you need to write, but in the process of getting the answers, always close your eyes so that you can get the most out of the answer. Okay, so allow yourself to experience that dream, that energy of the body part that you experience in the dream. And just be there with this body part when you came into your dreams. And start noticing where in your body is this energy of the body part. Where do you feel that in your body? And notice when you feel that in the body, what are the images, the senses? Do you hear anything? Can you touch anything? So use your intuition, your body, your senses to get a clear idea. And all you're doing is simply allowing something that is hidden in the unconscious to come to the forefront. So it might sound completely illogical, and that is okay. Just allow the message to come through, the message of what is this body part trying to tell you. If it could speak, what would it say to you? And register that. And if you're afraid that you're going to forget, you can write it down. Notice, what are your feelings? What is it that you're feeling in this moment when you get that message? So name the feeling. What is the feeling? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you experiencing a sense of grief, loneliness, detachment, fear. What is it that you feel when you receive this message? It could be even confusion. And when you feel this sensation in your body, this feeling, allow yourself to experience what it feels to have this body part give you that message. When it gives you the message, what is it that it does? What does it have to do to call your attention? What happens when you don't pay attention? Notice the pattern. Is there a pattern related to this message? A pattern that repeats in your life. What will that be? And let's just stop here for 1 second so we can check in. So when you receive this message, just notice if you feel this body part is functioning at the capacity that it needs to function. So working properly. Anybody wants to share?
I can share if you want.
Okay.
I had a dream 2 days ago, and I was visualizing like the part of an arm coming out from my chest, and somebody was telling me, you have a demon inside you. I can see it. And I was looking at myself and I was seeing like a deformity, like something coming out, and it was there. And so I think the message, I'm in you, and I think it
You were breaking up, Denise.
kind of subconscious was, maybe it's the connection. Yeah, it's the
Okay,
connection.
I can hear you now. Yeah, so I heard the part about the demon and the deformity, but later on you'll see that it could be more than just okay, I have a demon.
Yeah, I don't know how to read that, but maybe it was like a concept that I had in my mind, and then it repeated during the dream, and I have somebody else recognizing it and telling me, I can see you have something in yourself. And last night I had the same dream again. It was
So
a little
repeat it.
simpler. Yeah, it was a little simpler, but it was the same situation that I had a demon inside me.
Okay.
And that was make me feel like a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. It's like you have something that you want to shake off and you don't know how to do it or what to do. And I think that was the meaning, like knowing that this situation have been repeating often, and it's something that I cannot control. So I think it's kind of a fear of not seeing what's going on inside me or outside, because I cannot see what's happening. But
Yes.
it was funny that I had it 2 days on a road.
Yeah, that's a good dream when they
Yeah.
repeat, for sure. Somebody else wanted to mention something? Dave? No?
Yeah, sure. I had a dream 2 days ago too that was quite odd. It was my cousin who I grew up with. He's older than me, and I saw him in the dream, and he's alive, but he just went through a pretty challenging time. He got shot at. Where he lives, somebody shot a gun at him.
Oh, wow.
But I saw him, and I think he was happy, though, Victoria. He was happy in the dream. I don't know, but it was odd to see him there. I feel like he's a part of my soul. Like we're brothers. We always protected each other and made sure that nothing would happen to one another. And he just got shot at. I wonder if he needs my help. I
Yeah.
don't-
Yeah. So that's interesting because even though you recognize that he's happy, you were worried, right?
Yeah, it was my concern that was he was in my dream. It wasn't the other way around. I dreamt of him normal, and he seemed happy, but maybe he's being threatened. I don't know how to interpret it. That's one of the and I love dream. I'm glad I'm dreaming again. I just through a challenging period where I wasn't dreaming very much, and I like it when I can dream. I feel like it gets my thoughts out. It lets me be me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we go through those cycles, right? When we get really good dreams and then we go through like a dry spell or something.
Why is that? I went through a long dry spell.
Yeah. Transitions do that sometimes to us to give us a break and integrate.
Do you suggest anything to get you out of the dry spell, the desert?
Yeah, we're gonna go through some of that at the end. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Chris? I think Chris had the hand first.
So I had a dream 2 nights ago, and I was riding a cobra, and this cobra was like the size of 2 elephants. It was huge, and I just saw that was the reins were, in the back of the head where the two eyes are just holding on, and it felt very like I felt I was scared of myself. Fears were coming up, but I was also exhilarated at the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm still reflecting on that and feeling it, but it was just exhilarated and fear at the same. And
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's a really good dream. And maybe later it'll make a little more sense to you.
okay.
I mean, I just want to be clear. I don't do dream interpretation, right? So, and I'm not saying this for Chris, I'm saying this in general. What I do is dream regression. But with the dream exploration, we get pieces to almost like go through the layers of some of the different things so that we can go deeper and deeper with the regression work. But the meaning of what the cobra and everything that happened to you is yours, right? The meaning of your cousin, Dave, is yours. My interpretation doesn't mean anything. So the only thing that we can do is explore. What could this be?
Right.
Yvette?
I've just been having these reoccurring dreams for the past 2 months now, and it's about being in relationship with men. I've never dreamed about men my entire life. I'm 45 years old. Not something that usually comes into my psyche. For the past 2.5 months, I just keep having these reoccurring dreams with like men. And it's like, no, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. Yes, I do. Or like I have a dream with my ex, and I don't know. And I have it like 3 or 4 times a week. But when you were having us go through that exercise, I was thinking about these dreams, and then a dragon came through, really like strong, powerful dragon came through, and it was like holding 2 cherub angels.
Beautiful.
So I like think I know what I mean, but they keep coming back, so I don't think I'm getting what the message is, or I don't think they'd keep coming back.
Yeah, if the dreams repeats, is because the message, you haven't deciphered the whole message. You haven't received the whole message. So you have to pay attention to what changed so that you can really grasp deeper meaning. And if you think you know the dream, what it means from the beginning, you know that you don't know. Because we don't have the dreams because we want to have a dream. We have the dream because it has meaning in the dream for us, for integration, right? So if we think we know what the dream is telling us, then we pretty much messed up 85% of the work, right? So the repeating dreams are very crucial for some aspect of your psyche that needs integration. So when we work with the dreams and we have the different fragments, we're collecting pieces, recalling experiences that are hidden, because when the problem with the trauma is not that we get screwed up because we have so many wounds and, low self-esteem and this and abandonment and rejection, but there is almost like a dark cloud over the part of the brain where it had to repress in order for us to survive. And that cloud doesn't belong to the self. So we need to heal the part so that then the self has more access to us. But it won't do that unless we work on the part. So there is no full integration. Carl Jung would call it individuation. But when we have the integration of the different aspects of who we are, then the self comes through and we feel whole and we feel wise beyond the years, and we have all the qualities that we always wanted to have, and there is no low vibration emotion, anger, sadness. Those are grief, right? Like when we let something, that sadness that we experience when something is ending or when somebody transitions, that's natural. Anger because we want to be determined and courageous, that's different than anger that is really messed up, that gets to rage. Those are different things, right? So it's not that we're going to get rid of some of these emotions because they're natural, but we need to be able to control. And the only way that we have control over them is if we work on the things that are keeping us from being in ourselves, right? We will probably need like a whole day to go over like why this happens from the prenatal to now, and why some of these things that we experience even in psychedelics are going to be right in the prenatal stages, where the person, the soul, is coming in, anchoring. And in that moment, and I'm saying this because a lot of the dreams that we have are representation of our psyche trying to tell us there is something there. I don't know how to give it. I have to give you an image, because an image is going to have so much more than what I can say to you in little words. So the prenatal stages, we tend to experience a lot of that in our dreams. And that looks like when the little tiny thing is becoming something, and that little something becomes the pineal gland, that becomes then the brainstem, that goes down to the spinal, down to the vertebrae, and then you have down, the top, the beginning of the root chakra, which is why the root chakra is in direct correlation with the crown chakra, right? So a lot of the experiences that we're having when we are stuck, when we cannot breathe, when we feel like we may have something that we need to breathe, and I cannot breathe, and I'm going to die, and I cannot swim because I'm afraid of water because I'm inside the womb, most probably. So when we have recurrent dreams, it's almost like a gift from the universe, like pay attention because something important is happening here, right? So sign off for the womb. So let's talk about archetypes. I really want to spend some time on archetypes because I think a lot of us are going to really like that. Let me pull up the PowerPoint. I think for a lot of us, especially with the diversity that we have here today, we know that in our native cultures, we have a deeper understanding of some of these mystical experiences, like Dave was saying, right? Like there is this deep connection with the unconscious collective of who we are. And with that comes the dreams that have premonitions, the dreams that we can tell this is going to happen. Maybe I have the wrong date, but I know this is going to happen. Or I know this happened before, because you can experience that in the dream, and you have a deep knowing because the senses that are open to you will give you the chi. For some of us, it could be the sacral chakra. For somebody else, it could be the solar plexus or the spleen, the root chakra, because centers are basically connected. And what that means is that in a lot of our dreams, what we're doing is working through the fears that we have, because if we have those fears, we can advance spiritually and for our healing purpose, and to work through the generational trauma that we carry from our ancestors. Anyway, so psychic dreams, ego death dreams, where, you have a deep knowing and you know this is happening and you're transmuting and you're changing or you're becoming animal, and a lot of things are happening, right? But when we start looking at it from a more structured way, this could be as simple as what is the symbolism in your dream? What are the things that you notice that come up in your dreams? Is it animals? Is it plants? Are the plants talking to you? Are you in the water? What are the elements that come to you in your dreams, right? So the collective unconscious is going to be all of us coming together on Gaia. And we all have our auric field. And our auric field has all the information of everything that we are. And because we are relational community beings, we're always with people, right? So anyways, this huge field, the Maya, the illusion that connects all of us, is the collective unconscious. Is that clear for everybody? I just want to make sure that everybody's keeping track. Okay. So the collective unconscious is very powerful, because if I have a fear of something, and, Tiffany could be 20,000 miles away and she has the same fear, and there is resonance between our fears, we make that even stronger. So whoever is connecting to the same frequency, we make that collective unconscious archetype that are very real, because the archetypes can take over us. And that's when we go down through either opposites really strongly, right? So we have the collective unconscious that, let's say, is a fears, is a desires, envy, jealousy, shame, right? Happiness, courage. What are the things that we're feeding on the daily? Because whatever you're doing every day, you're feeding the collective unconscious, and we bring that in our dreams and upload it like a computer. We receive all of that, and then the next day we start all over again. So the collective unconscious has so much power, and in the collective unconscious we have all the archetypes, even of cultures and mythology that you have no idea of, but they will show up in your dreams even if you don't know them, because you're part of the collective unconscious. And if you are doing something that resonates with that archetype, the archetype comes and says, I am here, whether it is good or bad. So when it shows up, if you're too much on one side of the stream of the archetype, there is going to be major disruption. What was the power, desire, whatever they were working through, right, is coming to an end when they learn the lesson, and boom, they might need to start all over again, or halfway. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, the archetypes have so much power that they can take you to either opposites. And when we're not in balance, we're on the opposites. It brings you down unless you do something about it. If you start healing, it wouldn't take over for so long that it's almost like, imagine being possessed, but you're not being possessed by no demon, no nothing. You're being possessed by an archetype.
Can you quickly describe the archetype? Because I sometimes get confused here, because I hear you say animals, elements, but can you describe it so I can understand it a little bit more?
The archetypes, there are so many, thousands, and imagine all of our different cultures having different myth, stories, things that the ancestors used to say, things that they wrote in books. All of those, like Red, Robin Hood, and whatever, all of those things are real in the collective unconscious. And they have messages. They have healing opportunity, or they have chaotic energy or balance energy. And depending on where you are, if you resonate with that frequency, it's going to come to you. And now it's going to be up to the person's heart and actions to determine how does that archetype behave in your life. What does it make you do? So it's almost like, imagine the gray matter in our brain, that, like the mind, and the mind receives the different genes based on our ancestral gene codes that are now scientifically proven through epigenetics. And they're waiting there, right there in the DNA. And when something happens in the environment that says something here is similar to something that happened 200 years ago, oh, okay, make it happen. I'm going to create the proteins to make it happen. And now what? The brain, the matter, the liquid that is coming up and sending the information to the pineal gland, all of that, and creating the thoughts and creating the feelings, the nervous system and everything is receiving information that says, I am homeless with 3 kids up in the mountains. And actually, I'll give you my great-great-grandmother. I have 9 kids. I'm pregnant with the 10th one, and I die when I'm giving birth, and the baby dies too. And now I resonate with that archetype for whatever reason, or maybe I am her. So I have to work on what happened to my great-great-grandmother, plus maybe what happened to the child, because the child is still in me, right? So all of these things are coming together. And then, I just lost them.
No, you were describing archetypes and how they're real to us, like Robin Hood or Guinevere or the Venus or any of these things that were here, and then they're really living in our minds.
Yeah.
Ways.
Yeah. And this goes, go ahead.
And they talk to us, they answer, don't drink this, drink that, don't do this. They guide us. That's the voice of your subconscious.
Yes.
And you wonder why. Well, it's because maybe it's what your grandma would have done, or your grandfather would have done, or your uncle, or whoever you revere.
Thank you, Dave.
Welcome.
That was perfect, because I completely forgot that. So the matter is, the mind is saying this happened 200 years ago, but the mind doesn't know time. So it thinks it's still 200 years ago, and it's saying, I'm dying. So every day of my life, I feel like I am dying until I work on it. Thank you for reminding me.
Miss Victoria, I have a question.
Yes.
With there being so many archetypes, is it up to us to ask, that archetype in the dream, like, who are you? Since there's so many, how can you know which one it is?
Yeah, that's a good question. You will have to look at the qualities. What are the qualities? That I'll give you a dream that I had not too long ago. And I actually, because I didn't want to interfere with my diagnosis, I put it in one of the forums that I belong to. And it was about, I had this dragon energy. I'm very familiar with this dragon, and it's huge. And I'm little me, and I'm like, arguing with this dragon, and she's my mother, and I'm calling her mother. Why didn't you bring my brother? Where is my, and I was really angry with this mother. And I was like, where is my brother? What did you do with my twin brother? Why did you leave me here? And you didn't bring my brother. I mean, I was just going on for like 2 hours. I cried, I woke up, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm going crazy now. It's official, I'm going crazy. It was an Animus dream. I was asking about my other half, but I was really upset with this mother. So you got to look at the symbolism, the brother, twin brother, my other half, and you might have to go on Google and say, okay, dream archetype for twin brother, dragon mother, and see what comes up, and then go to the mythology and see which of the stories of all the different cultures is the one that says, I think that's the one. Because that, and sometimes it's a little bit of all of the different cultures, it's not just one. But sometimes, depending on your origin and your cultural, the background, you're going to be more attuned to certain ones, so that it might be more clear to you in that aspect. But when you look at the Chinese one, you're like, oh my God, that looks the same. And then you look at the Greeks, and it's pretty much almost the same thing, except with different names. So there's so many archetypes. It's going to be almost impossible for us to like say we're going to have a cheat sheet. But what I'm going to do is show you this. So we have the ego. We talked about that. The persona, the social mask. This is really good for those that are Gemini, that are the two, and sometimes they feel like they, depending on the person that they're with, they might be a different person. I think we all do that, right? Like, we all go through that, where we feel like, who do I need to be with this person right here to be okay? And, and if we have a lot of codependency issues, it's going to be even more pronounced, because with codependency, we care more about what the other person is feeling than our needs. So we kind of like have a mask, like the mask could be, I don't matter. It's all about you. So the mask, the persona, is the scheme out. Who do I become with this person to make it through this interaction, or to be accepted, to be welcome? And then the shadow is the part of us that is repressed. Is that clear for everybody? So the qualities, and what does this look like, is when we are 2 years old, or come on, even 1 day old, we come even before the womb, when we're in the womb, before the womb, when we're going through the spirit realm. If we get attacked, when you do your womb regressions and you see all the attacks that you experience and the things that mom didn't want and how that made you feel, all of those are part of the shadow. All the things that you say in your regression session, your healing sessions, all the things that I believe about myself those are aspects of the shadow. So I believe I am weak. That means I am giving the energy of weakness to my shadow. I'm not going to show to everybody that I'm weak, but I'm going to give it to my shadow, and the shadow is going to have to hold it like a backpack. And it's not, one day it's not going to know what to do with it. So it's going to start getting a little rebellious. So what do you do when you feel weak? When somebody makes you feel weak, what do you do? And how do you project that onto others? That will be part of your shadow. Does that make sense? So with the Animus, okay. So with the Animus and the Anima, we are looking at the opposites of our gender for the most part. And for some of the things that a couple of you mentioned something with a dragon, something, I don't know who else, that is definitely qualifiable under the Anima and Animus archetype. when you encounter an opposite energy of your sets, for the most part, that is powerful, bigger, strong, I mean, you name it, you're dealing with this energy of the anima and animus. They play a crucial role, because without that part, we don't get to ascend, we don't get to develop, we don't get to really heal. So if we're doing healing and we haven't done enough work to incorporate the anima and the animus, we haven't really done much yet. We're just at the beginning sometimes, because this is a journey. This is we're not doing a marathon where we're going to be done in 2 days. This is a journey of years. And it's, of course, you can speed some of it up by doing your part and doing your work. But some of the things that you think you know, just wait 5, 7, 10 years later, and you'll be like, oh my God, how little didn't I know? Because more is going to continue to be revealed, right? It's like, that's part of the beauty. Like, we don't know anything. So the more that we open ourselves to these aspects of who we are, the more wisdom it's going to be a challenge. Don't get me wrong. It is a fight. It is a fight to come near the anima and the animus, because you have to prove yourself worthy. This is the hero's journey. You have to prove that you're worthy. And if you're not going to have the energy to fight and to confront and to put out the fight, and you're going to go in there and pretend that you're going to be weak and submissive, I doubt that you're going to get out with much. You have to be able to fight. You have to bring inner resources, and that, what is that? This is part of the healing work, right? So this is just for some people to be able to assess, a quick exercise that we can do. Actually, you have your paper and pen. I want you to consider the most influential people in your life that are the opposite sets. And think about 5 to 7 positive qualities and just write it down. Once you have the 5 positive to 7 positive, then you're going to do the same thing for the aspects that you don't like about them. The things that make you feel maybe even disgusted or embarrassed, or anything that makes you feel a little icky. Maybe they're too confident.
So Victoria, we're supposed to pick one. I missed the beginning, the first
Yes.
couple of seconds. Just one person.
Yes.
Okay.
One person. Just think, make it easy. Just one person. One person of the opposite sex. And if you want to make it even easier, the question will be, think about one person that you don't like of the opposite sex. And I'm sure you're going to have 100 things. 100 things for the things that you don't like about that person. And just let me know when you're done so I can continue. Okay. How are we doing? Okay. One more minute, or we're good to continue. You have the list of the positive qualities and the negative qualities, right? So I want you to simply close your eyes and notice. Allow yourself to notice those positive qualities, and holding in one hand, the right hand. And also notice the negative qualities that you didn't like. and hold them in the other hand. And just allow yourself to notice the weight of them. What does it feel like? The heaviness of the positive and the negative qualities on your hands. And now you're going to focus on the negative qualities only. Remember, you're doing the opposite sets. It has to be the opposite sets for this exercise. So when you have those negative qualities, you're going to focus on those negative qualities. Let it get even more intense. Maybe when you start judging those qualities in them, especially if it's somebody that you don't like, it will be really easy to judge them. So just notice the opposite sets. Someone with all those negative qualities. And notice what is the sensation in your body. What are the feelings that come up when you don't like them, when you judge them, because they have all of these things that you despise, that you don't care for, that you don't want in your life. And just be a little curious about how are those projections, how are you projecting that? Everything that we judge in others is a projection for the most part. So be honest with yourself and ask if any of those qualities are things that you need to work on yourself. If it's part of your shadow, you don't see it because it's behind you. You won't be able to see it easily. We project it onto others so that we pass the baggage to somebody else. And when we have issues with other people, we are passing our projections onto somebody else because it's easier to judge someone than accept that we have that issue within us, right? Anybody wants to share briefly?
Really good, Victoria. I wanted to know my shadow. What do I hide? What do I not take ownership of? What do I pretend? And then by doing this, you are right. All 5 of those, I'm kind of guilty of each one of them. That's a good way I can work on myself, is to get better at those 5 things and being less like my shadow.
Yeah. And the thing is that the shadow really has done a lot for us, right? Because it holds what we cannot hold. It is able to hold the things that we despise the most. So to work with the shadow, we need to bring in a lot of compassion, a lot of empathy. We really have to put ourselves in the shoes of the people that we have judged so that we can start doing the work. And forgiveness is a process, but it's the key to that healing process and spiritual development. Anybody else wants to share? Thank you, Dave. Please go ahead. You're muted.
I just want to say, like, sometimes if you can see the benefit of the shadow, that's helpful.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's something you really don't like, you know, like, if say my big shadow is, I don't like somebody that's pushy. And then if you can think like, oh, at a time when I'm being taken advantage of, to stand up for yourself and be more pushy. So like that, you know, just see the benefit of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, you know, every emotion has its good and its bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is definitely part of the balance, right? Like, what would I need in this moment to be in balance? Right? Like when I need to be a little more assertive instead of letting somebody push over me, you know, and feel like, oh my God, what do I do now? Thank you for that. Okay, so I'm going to continue. This polarity with the Animus and the Animus is whenever we're going a little too far on either or of the streams, the yin and yang, these energies are going to come into our dreams and they're going to say or show us a scenario, a play in the dream, or past lives, or current situation where something needs to be resolved, integrated. The Anima and the Animus might come in the dream, maybe even show us a balance, a scale. They might even show us the Virgin, or some type of archetype that represents balance, or a rock. It's going to depend on you, on your symbol. Everybody has a different symbology of how we process information in our dreams. Like for some people, it could be completely different than somebody else. So it will be very difficult for me to give you in a very short time. But the idea is that these energies, these beings, these parts, aspects of us come into the dream to help us come back to balance. If we don't have the balance and it give us the information once and we didn't really get it, it's going to repeat again. Or eventually it may even get into a nightmare so that you can understand something here is completely off. And sometimes, of course, we know that when we are in the dream realm, we go to different realms, and within those realms are different beings that also interfere with how we dream and how we process the dreams. So there is a lot of things. I mean, it's a very complex situation. I want to do another exercise. Everybody wants to do another exercise, or should I continue?
Exercise.
Okay, so let's see. Do you have a dream that repeats, or a dream that has been like, oh my God, I cannot believe I had that dream and I forgot I had that dream, and it's a dream that you always like have with you, or a nightmare? It could be something significant for you.
I still consistently dream about somebody I broke up with over 10 years ago. And it always annoys me because we broke up over 10 years ago. So I don't know why he's still in my subconscious.
And so what is it that happens in the dream?
It's not a consistent, like what happens. I'm trying to remember because I keep a dream journal, but I wrote this down at work, so it's not here at home. Like it was so in my head at the time, but how dreams are that if you don't write them down, they just disappear. So I don't remember what it was, just that I don't like that he continues to present himself in my dreams because it's such a long time ago.
Yeah, we don't like those dreams because we're like, what is going on there?
Yeah.
The thing is that your spirit is letting you know something important was left behind there.
Maybe you love him still, right?
Maybe what?
You love him still. Why would you be dreaming of his face and his emotions if you didn't give them some sort of weight and value in your world?
Well,
sorry.
If I do, no, I appreciate it. If I do, it's hidden from me. I mean that sincerely. Like
that's why he's there.
I guess so.
Right. He loved you in his way. It didn't matter at the time, but now you look back and you're like, maybe he did love me as best he could. And
Well, the theme with the dream is that your knowing is something that happened 10 years ago. And the fact that you are knowing means that the energy when you feel unknown in that moment, you can easily go into that experience and notice where in your body, or you can close your eyes and tell me when you're in that dream and you feel annoyed and you're with him, Just notice your sensations in your body.
I'm just having a really hard time, like, remember the dream. And again, I'm not necessarily annoyed in the dream. It's when I wake up and realize I dreamt about him that I get annoyed.
So there are a few ways. You could do regression, you could do role play. When you're in the dream and you're with him in the dream and you become him, he can tell you through you, because it's all part of your psyche, what is it that he's trying to call your attention to? Okay. Or when you feel the annoyance when you wake up, where in the body you feel that, and allow that part of your body to talk to you. Okay. So there are different things that we do in the dream work in order for us to truly understand what is a dream about. It's not just like, okay, no, there is a whole process, and some sessions obviously can take a while.
Okay, yeah, but I like that question. What is this trying to call my attention to?
Yeah, the moment that you wake up in the morning and you feel that emotion, that means that's where your answer could be. Or you could go into the dream, regress through the whole dream, or you could go and do role play in order to pull out what is that dream is trying to tell you. And now remember, a lot of the people in the dream, for the most part, over 90% of the dreams are all about us. So the male in the dream could be your animus, your male energy within you that is letting you know there is something that you're not paying attention to. And it could be him that you're not paying attention to. I'm annoyed. Why do I have to deal with you? Where did you leave the masculine energy within you? How long has it been? It feels like it's been 10 years is a long time, but it could be even be more than that. Or did you give him too much power by being in that relationship and you lost aspects of your animus that you need to bring back? So there is a lot that can be done with something like 2 seconds of what you share, right? So there is I think everybody knows the Osiris ancient Egyptian story, you know, with Seth and everything that happened, and you know, at the beginning Earth made it with sky, and everybody knows that story. Yeah. So Osiris, Seth basically betrayed his brother Osiris and cuts him up in pieces and throw him down the river or something like that. And then Isis finds out, she puts him back together. And the last thing that she couldn't find was his private part. So
I don't remember that part.
You might want to look at it again. Because that's a huge clue about the Animus work. So when we start seeing for women, we will see a private part of a male coming to our meditations, dreams, trances. And we're like, what the heck? Oh my God, was I raped? Not necessarily. It could just be the archetype coming in to let you know a metaphor, symbol, or archetype to come in and let you know you need to work on the male energy within you, or for male on the female private part, right? So when she pulls him back together, eventually, you know, somehow I think she used the energy from Thoth and pull him back together. The private part was like a wooden stick that was made into a real private part with the help from Thoth. And then they had the child. God, I forget the name now. What was the name of the child?
Minar.
Horus.
Oh, yeah, Horus. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's the mythology.
So Horus, the younger, the young one, rises up and kills Set and rescue the kingdom from chaos. So here we have at the beginning, the god get the earth and the sky and Isis and Osiris and Set, and we have all of these people in the aspects, and all of them are basically one person. So Osiris, the true self, right? Set, the resistant ego that can get envious and jealous, and with the envy can destroy anything. Isis with a healing power, right? Like everybody knows that, and like that resilience and capacity to create and feast and nurture and grow, right? And then we have finally with the child, we have Horus coming in, integrating all the different aspects in one. Isn't that beautiful? And that's what we experience in the dreams. So when we start, what I want to encourage you to do is to see your dreams and notice the different people. Yes, they might look like people that we know. Sometimes they don't look like people that we know. But when they look like people that we know, it's because there is a quality there that you need to become aware of. Maybe there is something that you judge or that you like. And that quality is being projected onto the role player in the dream that may look like your brother, or that may look like Juanita, the neighbor, or Sean, right? So different aspects. Let me pull up one page here. Let me find them. We talked about the ego, the persona, the shadow, the animus, the animus, and the archetypes, and the self. So what is the self? The higher self, the inner, wiser, sacred self. So with the self, once we bring integration to the different aspects, the self has the right tempo to anchor. Without the healing, that's not going to happen. Don't get fooled, because when we don't have the healing to anchor enough light energy, and the light energy that comes through, and this energy comes in whatever is in our meridians, the energy where the energy stock, the nadis, the chakras, and the energy stock is not going to let the energy move up to the brain, and it's not going to come back down properly. It's going to be like, imagine it has to do a full cycle, and sometimes it cannot, because there are different organs that are dysfunctional, or different pieces of the body that are calling attention, and the energy doesn't make it to the brain. So if the energy doesn't make it to the brain, the pineal gland doesn't do anything. It won't work properly. You're working through false illusions. Because if the healing is telling the body one thing, and the biggest issue that we have is that when we're very spiritual, we think anything that happens in the physical is fake. And that is the biggest block that a lot of people have. So when we have this false illusion false. So the spirit being is waiting patiently for the different aspects to start working together, for the ego to realize, I don't know anything. I really need to get it together, and I really need to do my part, and I really need to do what I need to do in order for me to have the capacity to anchor such a powerful being into this body. Because it is powerful. And if there is not enough light in there, it's not going to be compatible. So at the end of the day, the goal with everything that is done in the dream is integration of the different aspects. So we see those aspects in our dreams, the ego, the shadow, the self. The self could be a medicine woman, a medicine man, right? Or it could be a God-looking energy, or your shadow can look like a God because we may have a superiority complex, or we may look like a little tiny worm because we feel weak and not good enough, right? So all those little pieces, even the colors in the dreams, are going to reveal to us the vibration, because the color have different vibrations or different wavelengths. So we have so much. We have symbols, metaphors, cultural, whatever culture we come from is going to have meaning more than somebody else, right? So my meaning for something may be very different than the meaning that you will give it because of how you understand that, right? So when you look at the dreams, you're looking at the ego, the persona, the shadow. Who in the dream is pissing you off? Who makes you feel disgusted? Who makes you feel embarrassed? Or are you walking around naked in the dream? Because that can also be, part of the shadow quality, like being, I don't want anybody to see me, and now I'm in the dream and like I'm afraid people are going to see me. And what is the worst thing that can happen? Yeah, Dave.
Victoria, when I was a baby, before kindergarten even, I dreamed that the man across the street had passed away. I didn't see it like that. I saw a hot air balloon that was his fate. I'm like 6 or 5. I saw his whole face was a hot air balloon next to his house. I didn't even know the man, but this is what I saw in my dream. And he had no expression, really. He was just there, wasn't hurting, wasn't in pain. I don't know if what I saw is spirit, but I told my mom this, and she called me a liar. She's like, you're just making. And then my aunt came over at the end of the week and said, it was Thursday. Did you know that on Monday that John had passed across the street? So right then I was vindicated, but it wouldn't really matter. What mattered to me was my mother, who should support me, thought I was just contriving things. I didn't even know what death was, but I saw his fate. What do you draw anything about that? I mean,
yeah, I used to have some of those. Well, for me, were not dreams. They were very like in real, like they awakened time. And it was very traumatizing to know when people were going to die before they died. So I tried to not do that, but I didn't have any control of it. So
yeah, I'm sorry that you had that. Mine stopped right there when my mom had that reaction.
Yeah, and what that means, Dave, is that there is a part of you that is, in that moment, there is a shadow there that says, I cannot do this because then people are going to say what?
Yeah, you're a liar, you're bad, you're a charlatan, you're making this up for attention.
Right.
I thought but you're right. That was my shadow saying, okay, that's it. We did it once. We're never going to do it again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, looking at the time to see how much time. Omar. So yeah, let's go over some questions or anything that you want to share with the group, because I don't want to just talk the whole time, and I'm trying to see if we're going to have time to do another exercise, but I first want to hear from some of you. Anybody courageous enough?
Yeah, I can share something.
Sure.
Yeah. Last night I had multiple dreams. Like it was my dreams were, I haven't had these dreams in a while, which were dreams of fighting back. One of them was me dodging getting shot. trying the person trying to aim for my head. And then it shifted immediately. It shifted to then I was fighting a woman that was trying to stab me. And it was I just knew right there. I stopped. And then my dream shifted again immediately, where then I was like if this person, it was a big, heavy set person, and he had a daughter, and it seemed as if I was some sort of protector of this person. I'm not sure. That's the only thing that when it shifted to that, it was like I wasn't too aware of what did I need to understand from that, but I did notice that the person was heavy set. I saw the legs, and I did notice that the person was urinating on the floor, and I could see a little bit of the background. The background looked very mansion, I would say mansion type. I don't know if that would be the best word to use, but yeah, after that incident happened, then that's when I kind of like woke up, But the thing is, my dreams yesterday were they were moving. Like it wasn't as if I would normally stay in the dream physically, and then it just changed quickly. Like if it was like, one moment from the other, like if it was a test to see where I would stand, like in the sense like, okay, you accomplished this, and then now you accomplished that, now you accomplished this, let's see where you're at with this, and yeah. So
yeah, there is a lot there, but you have to take each dream individually, Omar, in order to be, like more conscious of what is each aspect that you find interesting. I don't know if you're going to be able to listen to the replay, so you might want to listen to before you got here, because a lot of these qualities could be different aspects. Now, in our dreams, we're going to have different energies from different realms that come to our dreams. Sometimes they're nice, sometimes they're not so nice. And a lot of the time they want to either mess with us, or they want to test us, or they want to give us teachings, or different parts of us that are coming online to give us specific levels of integration to, like let's say I think I really got this, I really understood it finally, and then it shows up in the dream, is because there is something there that I couldn't see before, a different perception, right? Like almost up into a different lens. So every dream has so much. You really have to take them one by one. Otherwise, if you do them all together, it's going to be a mess. Chris?
Yeah, you were talking about after in the morning when you have the dream, to go back into it if you don't understand it, and reflect and kind of regress yourself, ask questions. So what happens if your dream literally wakes you up at 2-3 o'clock in the morning? I mean, obviously you want to go back to sleep, but you also want to, oh, I got to find out what this is. I don't want to wait till morning because I might forget, or I'm not in the moment. At that point, what's the best thing to do?
If you have the courage, and I say if you have the courage, because sometimes when that happens, it's because we know there is something is going to be there that we don't know, I don't know if I can handle this. And it is unconscious. It's not because we want to do it consciously sometimes, where I'm almost there and I know I can feel that I'm almost there, but and then we pull ourselves out of it because it's something that we feel that we might not be ready to, or we need someone to hold space. Because some of those things are some of those experiences are more real than what happens here in the daytime reality, where
Right.
you really need support. Like, we are tribal people, you know, and if we are in a dream alone, and like, oh my God, what am I going to do with all of this? And, you know, it can be very overwhelming. And what I do is just go back to it. Like, I don't check the phone, I don't check anything, because if I get up even to pee, I'm going to lose it. If I really want to remember, I don't move at all, so that I can stay in the energy of what is the last thing that I remember? What did I feel? And I anchor myself in that experience by asking myself those questions. What is one thing that I saw? And with that one thing, you get in it. Now, obviously, the more that you do this, the easier it's going to be, where you can recall everything and go back, even if you take, you know, whatever. But I don't take a chance, because when I do take the chance and I forget, I get really upset. So,
Okay. So basically, I was asking about the timing, and so if it does wake you up in the middle of the night, try to go back into it right then and there. Okay.
yeah, and sometimes you can have the same dream in one night multiple times if you get interrupted. And some people get interrupted because of the energies that they're channeling. When we are awake, we're channeling certain energies. When we are asleep, we're channeling different energies. For the most part, it's going to be a little different. So very rarely, the same person that channels in the daytime will channel the same energy in the evening. It's always almost like a reverse role. So what you're channeling in the dreams is going to have to do with, and I think I share with you all, the easiest to do this is to check your human design, because on your human design, there is the different fear gates that are activated. And so if you go to my website, soulhealingtribe.com/free-human-design, you're going to be able to pull your chart. In the splenic center, the splenic is the oldest center, with over 400, well, I don't know how many thousand years, hundreds of thousands, or how, I don't know, if millions maybe. Don't quote me, it's on the website. Those centers that are fear-based, if they're activated, they're going to give you clear ideas what's happening in your dreams too, if you really start analyzing what is there. Did that make sense or no?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, that with the dreams, a lot of people are going to be like, okay, are some of these dreams really premonitions, or are they part of the way that you receive some messages? But sometimes those messages are not real messages. They're fear-based premonitions.
Sometimes feel as if they're tests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a test from yourself to yourself. Like, we're testing ourselves to see if we got what it takes, right?
Right.
And sometimes it's not a test. It's some type of energy just messing with us, because, you know, their energy, not just messing with us. It's not because they hate us, but some of them want something else. We're not going to get into that. We don't have time. But my question to you is, the moment that you wake up, even if somebody's going to die, do you go, oh my God, I don't want them to die? But then another part of you says, but it's going to confirm that I know that I have this gift of premonition. And if you know something and you really want to tell somebody to confirm that you have this gift, what is the need behind that? Because until you work on that need behind that desire, the real premonitions, dreams, are not going to come 100%, because you're seeing them through a faulty lens. You're receiving part of the answer, but part of the answer is hidden by your desire for something like power to know ahead of time, control, desire. All of these things are going to fog your filter of premonition. You might be picking up some and you know like there's something there. But the only reason why it's not really coming is because there is something behind it that is blocking that. So if you know, if you're doing medicine with someone and you want to tell them, this is everything that is happening with you, why do you have that need? Did they ask you? The need to do something, even when it's for our own, you know, like we think we're not harming anyone, but are you not? Right? If we say something that, I mean, who knows? Maybe your mind is playing game with you, and what you thought you saw is not what you saw. I'm just saying, being the devil's advocate here. And everybody's looking at me weird. Why?
I don't know. I've had a few dreams and they're usually with my cousin and they seem to come to pass. And it's freaky because I'll call and be like, hey, this, blah, blah, blah. I'll even see things in the cloud and they'll come to pass. But it's never, it's more in that curiosity of why did I have that dream rather than trying to predict what's going to happen. Because I would prefer not to be able to predict. But it tends to happen. And it's a little freaky. It's like, you know, maybe I shouldn't actually speak it. You know, maybe that's where it should be, not to actually invoke it, you know. But anyways, that's just my train of thought. But yeah.
Yeah, you just reminded me of something because sometimes there are certain energies, and you know, when you have done a cycle of healing and you feel pretty good, and then something comes in the dream and it's almost like knocking at the door. We have the option to say, no, right now. Not right now. We're going to wait on this. And it sounds like you did some of that too, Omar, by saying, nope, stop, right? So we don't have to, just because it shows up in the dream, we don't, because we have free will. Now, if it's something that is supposed to come through because it's part of your karma account balance, there we're going to have to do it some way, right? So it's going to come, it's going to continue to knock on the door. And if you don't pay attention, because it's part of your karma account, it gets out of hand and it can take over. And then you become the princess in the shadow with the shadow qualities, or the narcissist, right? So it's fascinating. Natalie?
Dream time has always been like fun time for me. I enjoy it. It's like life part 2. And you've pointed out that sometimes I miss what I'm supposed to be. Like I'm so busy having fun in my dreams and changing things, and that I'm not looking at the message. So I my question to you is, how do I get better at recognizing the archetypes that show up, that have the messages, that have the work, that have the things that I do get so lost into like, oh my God, look, I can do magic. And I don't look at the part that's there to help me.
So I hear an echo. So when you're saying that, I'm seeing this archetype. What is the archetype? The in energy or myth or person that represents this girl that goes to you're already in the dream and you're sleeping and you're having fun, you're making magic. Who is that? Who is that in the movies or cartoons?
I can't think of anyone right now on the top of my head.
You're changing things. You're moving, right?
Yeah, color, black and white, shape shifting. Like I play with that part of my dream. But
right. So what in history, what energies represent the energy of the sorcerer, the magician, all of those are archetypes. The sorcerer, the magician, the divine child, the divine twins, right? The mother, the father, right?
Is it like Mother Nature? Is it just like Mother Nature? You're controlling all of nature and that's who you are, Mother Nature?
She's gonna have to, you see? Because
Yeah,
there's
so
thousands
keep
of them.
yeah, so keep like just looking at yeah, I guess it's so hard for me to escape the fun part of it that like I'm like, okay, I'm not.
And when you're okay, so when you
So when I'm creating and changing, I'm escaping, right? I'm escaping reality and responsibilities, and I'm
So
just like,
from Greek mythology, someone like who? How do you say that name? Dionysus, somebody else.
Dionysus,
Yes.
the one of drugs and sex and love and fun.
Party.
Okay. Party.
Yes.
Dionysus. Okay.
Dionysus.
So I get to explore that. Okay, got it. Sounds like me.
Very dense in this reality, like Dave said, on Earth, right? But I'm gonna escape it. But you're gonna have to play with that because, or you can go and do some regression with the DRT members and see what is there. Like when you see all of these things, the things that you're changing, the feelings that are there. So one of the energetic medicine wheel is, which we do in our sessions, is the feelings, the beliefs, the behaviors, and what is happening to the different sensations in the body. Because that's going to give you everything that we need to know, are we integrating this experience? To have proper integration of an experience, we need all the senses involved, including the physical, energetic, emotional, mental, spiritual. So once we have all of those aspects, we are integrating an experience so that it becomes more reasonable, so we can go and dive deeper. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Anything that you want to share with the group before we close for today? The time flew by. I didn't get to cover much of what I wanted to. That's always the case.
Very informative. Thank you, Victoria.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Victoria. I feel like I learned a lot. I pieced together pieces that I didn't understand, and I think I have a better view of how it all works.
Good.
Thanks.
Yeah, I love working with the dreams. It's fascinating. Okay, so if there is nothing, we're going to close, but if you have something that you want to share or tips that you want to share with the others, actually, I have to me, some of these things are pretty much basic, but some people are like, oh, I never thought of that. But, Stacia? Okay, so, when you wake up with a dream or you experience what you experience, Omar, and then there is a lingering experience there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you try just recording yourself while you're talking about it? And if your voice starts getting stronger and louder, let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck was that all about? And why did this happen? And then you're already in your psyche. So you're having a conversation with your psyche, because that's what we need to do. And you're saying what you need to say, and everything that you're saying has meaning. So then you go over like, oh, I didn't even realize that I said this word. What is this about? That might be part of the message that you have there.
The funny thing is, I have such a thing with electronics, and I just sometimes feel as if something is just like peekaboo, and it's like, in the sense. So I just said what I had to say, and I was like, if this is a test, you can, and I just said what I had to say. You can keep testing me. I will not fold, in the sense. And this was me saying in a mental note.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I look at things as like, there are no coincidence, because I heard like a knock, and there was a knock on the side where the TV is at. And I'm sure there's nothing there, there's nothing there. Why would it knock? It made a sound, and I vividly heard. I mean, I heard it, and I was like, right when I walked around that area, that's when I started to feel like cold chills. I was like, oh, and it wasn't something that I don't know if it was something that I was doing myself, but I did not feel any form of. It was like if it was something that it just wanted me to move away, but I didn't want to move away. It was like more of I'm here to confront you. I'm here to sit with this feeling and just confront it, in the sense. And I might be wrong, but it's just, sometimes it gets to a point where, hey, enough's enough.
Yeah, but it sounds like part of the hero's journey that we talked about earlier, where even our own spirit team are going to be testing, or our own parts of ourselves are going to be doing things to test if we're worthy of them. So you're going to have to look at that at the beginning of the recording once I send it out, so that you can understand, because if the energies that are coming, and sometimes the ones that are the strongest, is that because we know our psyche knows all of our fears. It's our God. It's I am my God. My psyche knows all the things that I don't want anyone else to know. All the fears that if you move a little needle, I'm like, what is that? And so it's going to use my own fears against me so that I can overcome them. Otherwise, it's not going to know what it is to overcome that fear.
I see.
Right? So our aura is as big, like really our aura is like 6 feet, maybe sometimes even 10, sometimes even 20 feet radius, right? We have this huge aura. When we're doing energy work, when we are in the dreams, we are doing energy work. What happens when we're doing energy work is that our energy is so powerful that we make things move too. And we can hear sounds here, like on the wall, like pwah. But it's happening here because new neurons are being built to make way for the light to go and travel through the different hemisphere. So the sounds are actually a really good thing, because that means there is huge change coming. So it's.
Well, I went around. I went around the
with your sage.
No, I went around. I went around the TV because I was like, I know I heard this. So
electricity with electricity, right?
I started knocking to see what was the sound that I just heard, to mimic the same sound. But yeah,
it's right here. It's right here. Anybody wants to share something for Omar about the sound? Those that have experienced the sound, please speak out.
I will say, Omar, you are brave, because when that happens to me, I just get scared and I tend to get paralyzed. Like, I won't go looking for what it was. I'll say you are not welcome here, and I pray, and I try to, connect to God and into my heart. But you're brave. I do not go looking for where this sound came from. So thank you for sharing that, because you're giving me another way of approaching when that happens to me too.
Gotcha. You're welcome. And thank you.
Anybody else? Well, thank you, everyone. I hope you got something awesome from tonight. I'll
Good to
hang
see
out.
you, Victoria.
Say that again.
Victoria.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see. Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Yeah, it feels like I haven't seen you in years, huh?
Take care.
Bye, Juby.
Are we done? It's over?
Yeah, you got in late, brother.
Okay.
I don't know what time you got here, but I think you got maybe like at the end.
Yeah, because I was Christian had his baseball practice, and yeah.
So handsome. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go.
All right, Victoria.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.